Hello and welcome to Chapter 8, Unseen Blows. If you hear the thunder, it's raining outside, so you'll have to forgive me for that. The single combat tournament was brutal, especially for beginners, since matches were decided by lottery. Victory depended on luck as much as skill, but the goal of the tourney was not to rank all of the participants. Rather, it was an opportunity to shine. The fights were fast. Only 2 or 3 blows exchanged before a fatal strike was recognized by the judges and a winner was named. The tourney weapons were dulled and strikes pulled, especially lethal ones, but contestants, winners or losers, often walked away bloodied and bruised. Blood and drama fueled the crowd, and if a person couldn't win with skill, winning with spectacle was an option. The first 5 rounds would take place today. The final 5 would be held on the 6th day of the festival to give the fighters a chance to rest. Drei had won 2 fights before she was paired with Edic. Drei knew that this would be the end of her good fortune, but she was excited. It was an honor to be paired with him. His weapon was the Quan Dao from the Far East, with an iron ball on one end and a large single-edged 2-foot blade on the other. He used it as a staff, a bludgeon, and a slicing weapon. He was deadly at a distance. Drei knew she had to close in, get inside his range, before he could control the field. Edic spun the Dao lazily as he closed the distance, then stilled it, blade angled down. If she rushed, the blade would snap upward and end the fight. It was a feint meant to lure her in. She wasn't supposed to notice the iron ball on the opposite end, the counterweight. She feinted. Just enough to make him commit. He couldn't pull back now. The momentum wouldn't let him stop. She slowed, letting Edic swing through. As the blade swept down, Edic stepped back instead of forward, realizing a trap. Drei dipped into a roll, springing to her feet in front of him. Her dagger was already almost touching his neck. A white flash, then blood. Her nose burst. Pain bloomed. She stumbled backward, looking up at the clouds until she fell onto the ground. She faintly felt the edge of his blade kiss her neck. Winner! Edic so! Drei, are you okay? Edic was leaning over her, hand extended. It took a moment for her eyes to focus, but once they did, she took Edic's hand and stood up, offering him a bloody smile. Good fight. I'm sorry, you really surprised me. Edic offered her a kerchief, escorting her out of the ring. I surprised you, Drei laughed, holding the kerchief. Didn't catch all the blood. You disappeared. I rolled. You scared the hell out of me. He clapped her back gently. I should have stabbed you in the groin. She elbowed him in a friendly way. Really glad you didn't, Drei. Really glad you didn't. Edic walked Drei all the way to Drei and Sen, one arm casually draped over her shoulders. I seem to have wounded your girl, sir. Forgive me? Kate smiled, shaking the boy's hand. Good to see you again. What guild are you with, anyway? Sen's jaw flexed as he watched the exchange. He stepped forward, taking Drei gently by the arm, as if to inspect her injury, but his eyes never left Edic. Edic released Drei without a second thought. Edic laughed quietly. I seem to be in service of the Kargul at the moment. You're not thinking of going guildless? Kate was astonished. No. Kargul is a good guild. I'm proud to be a member, but we rarely leave the capital, Edic shrugged. The experience in the gates is good, but a particular type, chasing down pickpockets and the like. Edic smiled broadly. Kate nodded. So, you're considering working on loan from Kargul? I am. When we travel, I'll contact your guild master. You are a hell of a fighter. Kate looked over, noticing members of the Kargul guild glancing in their direction. You best get back. Yes, sir. Edic turned and headed instead to Drei. Drei, is Rohma around? Edic asked, stooping slightly. It was uncharacteristic of him. Dre smiled. She's in the stands. Over there, I think, Dre pointed. Edic nodded thanks and headed to his guild mates. Rohma saw Edic now, walking Dre back, his arm around her. Her cheeks burned with anger she couldn't explain. Then later, she saw Dre point up at her, and her cheeks burned again for a completely different reason. She half wanted to run. He was going to come up here. She fidgeted with her dress, tried to straighten her hair, and calm the pounding in her chest. She watched him. He greeted his guild mates and immediately headed her direction. She pretended not to notice. Rohma. He was standing right next to her. Hello. She stood up. He was very close. May I sit with you during the next few fights? Don't you have to stay in the roster pit? I should. What is the chance I get called twice in a row? Edic joked. Then I will not stop you. Rohma gestured to the seat next to hers. You did very well against my friend. I hope you didn't hurt her badly. She'll be fine. To be fair, if she were more ruthless, she might have gotten a good hit on me. When? When I couldn't see her. I think she realized I completely lost track of her for a moment. Dick laughed, pushing his hair back from his face. Rohma liked that he wasn't arrogant. He was handsome. Not as ghostly as Sen, but on the fairer side. Many found such pale skin unattractive, the way it went red in the summer, but on him, it was nice. A warm honey. His eyes were light too, but not cold and blue like Sen's. More warm honey with flakes of green. Edic felt her gaze before he saw it. Heavy and curious, not intrusive, but penetrating. He turned cautiously and found her eyes on him. Deep, dark, almost black. They held a stillness that he wanted to step into. Like the eye of a storm, he felt giddy from the depth of them and forced himself to look away, grounding his focus on the fight below. He rested his hands flat on his thighs. It was odd. He had swung his arm over Dre's shoulders without a second thought, but now, with Rohma, he felt still. Rohma was different. Dre was rough and tumble. Rohma was a lady. Then her fingers brushed his, a single touch, so light it could have been imagined. It tickled with sensation. His mind was so focused on her that the touch was like a shock. His breath caught, though he couldn't let it show. Her hand stopped atop his. It was like a songbird that had nested on his hand. He didn't move. Instead, with care and without looking, he placed his other hand over hers, holding it between both of his. He knew what this meant. She risked clarity for closeness. He closed his eyes for a moment and drew in a breath, steady and quiet, tempering the surge inside him. He had thought about her more than he should have. Her voice lingered in his thoughts, the way she moved, half watching the world and half listening to something that no one else could hear. The way she walked, no, he almost said it out loud. He wanted to pull her closer. He wanted to feel her head on his shoulder, but he didn't. She was calm, at ease, and he would not break that. It was enough to be near her, to feel the trust of her stillness. They sat like that longer than they should have, hands nestled together, not speaking, and he didn't need to, not yet. Next match, Edic and Dex of Guild Tassos was announced by the ringmaster. Edic leapt to his feet and ran. Rohma stood up, like waking from a pleasant dream. For a moment she was confused why he had left. She moved too, leaving her seat and going to the front of the stands. She tried to keep him in her view. Then, for a moment, she was struck with a hint of vertigo. Something was wrong. Someone was watching. Was it her? No, watching Edic? Rohma turned slowly, pulled towards something, the source of danger. She recognized the mind before she saw the face. It chilled her. In her rush, she had found herself standing almost directly next to June. A thin man she had never seen before stood between them. Sen stood in the arena, breath steady, shoulders relaxed. In each hand he held a short sword, twin blades forged for close-range speed. One in his left hand he flipped with practiced motion, the blade flattened against his forearm in a reverse grip. Rohma froze. Drei should eventually have to match with Siphus. When she does, she will learn the dangers of this life. It was the man next to her. He was talking to June, completely unaware of her. She considered running, but instead her hand brushed Hoya's for a split second. Rohma felt a jolt and a flash. Hoya turned on her and grabbed her wrist. Rohma panicked. "Unhand me!" she attempted to demand. Hoya checked his pouches, glaring down at her, then released her. She walked away quickly, the knowledge blooming. Her heart pounded. The sweat formed on her brow. Her powers were becoming harder to manage. Edic moved first, fast. He spun the Kwandao in a flourish, his feet shifting into an extended kick mid-spin. It was showy, deliberate, a performance. Sen stepped back once. He almost smiled. He's showing off. As she walked, Hoya's thoughts unraveled in her mind. Rohma saw a young man she had never met, handsome, thin, and tall. He was sneaking through an alley toward a mansion in the city. He didn't see the shadow behind him. She saw his body left on the street, dragged far from where he was killed. Edic landed, pivoted, and brought the weighted end down in a hard, wide arc. He resisted the urge to look toward Rohma again. Sen struck like a viper, instantly inside Edic's guard. The iron weight smashed against Sen's inverted blade, caught clean on the flat steel running along his forearm. Pain ran down the length of the sword. Sen's arm stung up to his shoulder, but the block held, and the fight was over. His right blade sliced the curve of Edic's ear and kissed the line of his neck. The crowd gasped. A judge raised a flag. Win! Dex Guild Tassos. Ashen and shaken, Rohma ran from the stands to the roster pit. She stood frozen, breath caught, not from fear, but from the shock of knowing how and by whom something terrible had already happened. Edic gasped. Excellent move, my friend. He grinned down at Sen. I underestimated you. I came in too confident. You corrected that nicely. Edic extended a hand, shaking Sen's. Sen smiled broadly. I'm glad you did. I doubt you'd be that easy to knock out next time. Rohma could see Cade and Drei. They were not far, but she needed to sit. She was on the edge of overwhelm. Cade was looking at Drei's bruised face. Sen had joined them. Rohma? It was Edic. Before she could answer, she was in his arms and brought to her guildmates. Edic rested her on the bench. You need water? He asked as he left to fetch her some. Cade stopped tending Drei and went straight to Rohma. What did you do, girl? I saw. I touched the man that June was talking to. Someone's going to hurt Drei. Today! Rohma continued describing her vision and what she had overheard. As she spoke, Edic returned with a cup of water. He stayed to listen. While Rohma spoke, seeing that she was well, Cade returned to Drei's face. He was pinching the bridge of her nose. It hurt. Drei's eyes teared, and she struggled to stay still. It's Taven. Drei got out before Cade grabbed Drei's chin and tilted her head. Hold still. With a swift, practiced motion, he pressed the bridge of Drei's nose sideways until it popped. Drei screamed. Rohma grabbed her hand, and as their fingers touched, the pain flowed from one girl into the other like water down a channel. Blood dripped from Rohma's nose. Her vision blurred. Drei gasped, suddenly calm. The pain was gone. Cade slapped Rohma. Her cheek stung. Drop her hand now, he commanded. Don't let me catch you doing that again. Cade chided sternly. You aren't trained, and that bloody nose was a lucky punishment. Besides, you don't just take pain. You have to put it somewhere, Rohma. Never take it into yourself. Cade returned to Drei and tapped the spot of her nose that was still swollen and angry. Drei flinched. Cade nodded, reassured. Next time, let her scream. We'll help her to remember to duck. Rohma bowed her head, not entirely regretting helping her friend. Her face ached. Her eyes pounded. Drei's pain seemed to linger. Who's going to hurt Drei? Sen asked, dabbing Rohma's nose with Drei's bloodied kerchief. Rohma pushed it away, making a face. She explained. That man that travels with Jim, he said... I don't remember. I'm sorry. It was something about the competition. Drei stilled, breath caught. So, when I'm paired with Siphus? Fine. I know what to expect. I don't like it, Sen paced angrily. We were pretty sure Jom had Tevon killed, and now they're planning on hurting you. And you're just going to go out there? Cade sighed, considering. Rohma, you saw who you think was Kevon sneaking down an alley. Then you saw his body dropped at the Violet Lantern? No, Rohma shook her head. I didn't see the Violet Lantern. Cade muttered something under his breath in the old tongue. Sen sighed with frustration. So, you touched a mercenary and learned that he killed someone and moved the body somewhere. Sen kicked a stool, knocking it over. Rohma, that's not exactly helpful. Cade rested a hand on Sen's shoulder. Easy, boy. It's a good start. We know that the next fight against Siphus will be a threat for Drei, and now we at least have a lead on the Tevon matter. Rohma wiped her face again, shaking. I could have gotten more, but he grabbed me. What do you mean? Cade asked, quietly worried. It's okay. He thought I was a pickpocket, Rohma declared, but it frightened me. Cade sighed. This is another reason why your training is so important. Edic scowled at Cade and turned back to Rohma. It was brave. He squeezed her hand. But Cade is right. It was dangerous, and you're not fully trained. Before my brother left for the herbalist training, he helped everyone he could. It started to hurt him. It made him sick and darker. Rohma, I know you can't always control it, but to go out of your way to tap into someone, some stranger? Rohma sighed, frustrated. No one knows anything at all about my abilities, about being a mystic, not even other mystics. We are all different. I wish you would just trust me to know my limits. She glared at Cade. Rohma, Edic carried you here. Imagine if Hoya took you to the Kargul, a different Kargul. You could have been brought directly to the herbalists for training, and then we never see you again. Cade was exasperated. I can do this. I know what I'm doing. I need you to believe in me. I believe in you. And I'm going to be ready for Siphus. Drei caressed Rohma's back. And I have you to thank for that. From the arena, while they spoke, the next combatant had been called. Fought, and a winner had been declared. Cade considered. Jim is a problem, but not one we can confront openly. I've heard rumors about him and women. If they're true, we need to do everything we can to stop him. If he has a hand in the Akawan boy's death, the clan could become powerful allies against him. If not, they may still reward us for looking into it. Tonight, Clan Akawan is laying out Tevon's body. You'll go and gather information. If we can prove it was murder, we can bring it before the Imperial Clerk. If it was a hired killing, we need to find out who ordered Hoya. If he acted only as a hand, he can't be punished. And neither can Siphus or June. Drei and the others nodded solemnly. The next fight was called. Drei Sano, Tassos. Zehra no, Siphus, the announcer shouted from inside the arena. Join me next time for Chapter 9, Blood in the Sand. And like and follow if you've enjoyed.